All right, hi everybody. What I'm doing here today is filming kind of a little bit of an experiment that I've been thinking about doing with my compost. So you can see over here, I've got my active compost pile. This is in my suburban backyard. Anyways, this is what I'll be adding to right now. But I've also got this pile over here that I had been adding to for the past year. And I'm getting ready to let it finish, and I plan on using it next spring. Um, so what I'm going to do is this pile was primarily composed of the base was a bunch of mulch. So my city has a free mulch pile that you can utilize. I added some kitchen scraps, some coffee grounds, and yard waste, and that's primarily what it's made of. So there's still a lot of woody material in it. Um, okay, sorry, that was the neighbor's dog. Yeah, so that'll take a little bit longer to break down. So I kind of came up with this idea to get some of this blewit spawn. So I got this blewit spawn from North Spore, and this is supposed to do really well on like kind of compost material, like dead leaves, woody material that's already been halfway composted, and a little bit of compost. It's kind of unique to mushrooms. Most mycelium prefer like a wood base, like wood chips, or you can see I've also got some logs here. So things of that. So I'm going to see if this will help kind of finish off that compost as we wait for like the next 9 months. I'm also going to mix in some azomite. So azomite is like it's a volcanic rock that comes from a specific part of, I think, Utah. It's got lots of trace minerals that are missing from your food waste that you find kind of in your everyday life nowadays. Last but not least, I recently made some biochar. So we're gonna mix this in as well. I crushed it up this morning. I probably should have taken a video of that, but I'll make more soon for another video. And I've been letting it soak because I don't want it to soak up all the moisture from my finishing compost pile, since I'm not going to be adding any more greens to it. So it's been soaking probably now for about 9-10 hours. So it should have soaked up a lot of moisture. And if you don't know what biochar is, really it's charcoal. That's So like what you want to do, there's a few ways you can do it. You can just use like what I did was started like a regular old bonfire, and then when it got to the point that everything was kind of this charcoal, this charred consistency, I doused it with my hose. But there's also like specialized ways to make it. The old school way is like dig a giant ditch, start a really hot fire, and then you cover it back up with that dirt. Then you can also there's like barrel methods and stuff that you can do, and basically you're trying to starve it of oxygen and kind of create this charcoal like material. So that's what we're going to be filming here today. All right, so what we're gonna do here is I've got this blue tarp that I like to use when I turn my compost. So for this last turn, I'm gonna lay that out, and then I'm gonna open up the compost, start scooping it out so that we can get everything mixed together. So I just wanna go ahead and show you kind of what the consistency of my batch compost looks like. So if you look close, you can see here, it's got a lot of material that's like almost ready to go. But there's still some like wood chips in here, and they're like easy to break apart. But kind of my experiment is, and what I think might happen, is we'll get the mycelium to kind of take over this. This is about a cubic yard, and really start decomposing this woody material that's like already partially broken down. And then by the spring, over the next 9 months, I'll have hopefully mostly broken down compost. You can see there's bits of grass and stuff in there that I like added about a month ago. So that's kind of the last greens that I added. my goal here is going to be to add, the mycelium kind of to the edges of the compost pile where it stays a little less hot. That way, it doesn't kill the mycelium or anything. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of this biochar in, kind of this base over here. So and essentially what should happen is this should soak up a lot of the good stuff like the nitrogen, phosphorus, and a lot of the microorganisms that are kind of like moving around in the compost right now. And it should kind of slow release that. Biochar is supposed to stay in the soil for a long, long time, like 1,000 years or something. So what it'll do if you don't charge it with like compost, or you could do urine, you could do like a compost tea. If you don't charge it with those microbes and you just throw it straight into your garden, it'll kind of soak up a lot of the nutrients that are already in the garden, and you might have poorer performance for the first year or two while that's kind of soaking all that nutrients up. But then it'll release those things over time. And what it does is it kind of acts as a hotel for those microbes and that nutrients. All right, so I poured a little bit of that in there. I am also going to get the azomite. And I got a cup over here. Not sure exactly how much to add, but I think I'm going to start with just a few of these little cups. It's like a little plastic cup that I got. So I'm going to cut this open. Oh, I want to breathe all this stuff in. But I'm going to get a cup full and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so as you can see, it's kind of this fine, broken up volcanic rock dust. And it's got a lot of those trace minerals. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of put this exactly where we put the biochar, and then I'm going to mix it up a little bit. All right, and like I mentioned before, I got this blewit spawn from North Spore. When it arrived today actually. I don't know, you typically see like a lot of mycelium that's like white kind of in that spawn. This one doesn't look like it has a lot, so I'm kind of worried that it may not have that much. But I'm gonna open it up, see. We're gonna add a little bit to the edges like I told you about. And it's pretty hot here right now in Missouri, so my plan is to save a little bit back and wait until I'm worried the pile may heat up a little bit too much. So I'm gonna save some as an insurance policy, like 1/3 back. Keep it in a cool environment, cool moist environment, so that it doesn't dry out. And then I may add that to the top later, just kind of as an insurance policy. So what I'm gonna do is get some of this out, kind of put it out there, try not to contaminate what's left in there. And then we'll add it as we kind of turn the compost here. All right, so you can actually see there's a little bit of white in there, so maybe there's just pockets of it. It smells nice and earthy, so it doesn't look like there's any green slime mold or anything that's kind of going to take over and eat the mycelium or, aggressively kind of outcompete it. So we're going to dump some of this out here, and then we're going to save the rest back. All right, so kind of to start out, I'm going to get this little batch. Like I'm going to get a handful or something. I'm going to put it on the back edge. All right, we're going to dump a little bit more biochar in there. Get some more trace minerals. Do a half cup this time. All right, I'm gonna grab it and show you this time, but like how I'm placing the mycelium. And I'll kind of walk through kind of what I'm doing and why. All right, so got a little pocket here. Just grab a handful. So you can see my pile. I kind of flattened it out there. So what I want to do is in like that outside 4 to 6 inches, that's where I'm gonna put the mycelium, because the inside of this pile, now that I'm turning it, introducing oxygen, there still are quite a bit of grains in here, to be honest. That's gonna get pretty hot. And I don't want the mycelium to die in that kind of 130 Fahrenheit temperature. So my plan is to kind of place it towards the outside to make sure that, you know, it doesn't perish when it really heats up, if it heats up. And then I've got my insurance policy. So at the end of this, I got my little thermometer over there. I'll show you at the end. I'm gonna stick that in the top just to measure that internal temperature. And then once it drops down to like 100 Fahrenheit, kind of on that outer edge at the top, I'll know that I can kind of place it there and it may work its way down. So kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. So we'll just place it right here, kind of on that outside edge. It's been flattened, so like that. We'll get back to work. All right, now I leveled out over here too. I'm gonna put a little pocket here. You'll see I am trying to make sure there's like bigger woody pieces next to this mycelium too, because that's the environment it really likes. It's at like half composted woody material. So just something that hopefully it takes root to. We'll see. All right, we're gonna do one last little bit of azomite. We're gonna put in the rest of the biochar. We're gonna top it off with the rest of that stuff, and then I'll show you the pile. Got a little bit left at the bottom here, so I'll just get a stick. You'll see my big stick pile over here. I'm gonna set up some hugelkultur beds later this year, so I'll probably film that as well. But I've been collecting lots of wood. My wife thinks I'm nuts. And she's probably a little bit right. That's all right. We're gonna take the rest of this mycelium and kind of spread it across the top there. And then we'll just kind of rake back some over some of that compost so that it's not like sitting out there drying out. Just a couple inches. kind of dig it in. It's right there in the center. You can feel it. It's so much cooler than the compost because it was sitting in the refrigerator. But mound it up a little bit. Okay. There we go. All right, Bailey dog, let's go check out this pile. All right, I realized my video cut off yesterday evening, so I just wanted to come out and kind of show you the end result. So you can see here's the top of the pile. You can see it's mounted up in the center. That's really where I buried the rest of that mycelium, that blewit spawn. And I just wanted to show you the temperature here. So let me uncover it, but you can see, I'll uncover that a little bit. Right now it's about 100 degrees kind of in that center. I expect it'll heat up over the next couple days. But after it heats up, once it drops back down to kind of this 100-degree Fahrenheit range or a little bit less, that's what I'm gonna add the remainder of my spawn, kind of the top here, just to make sure that that blewit takes hold. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll be posting more videos. So hope you liked it.